Our country has been traumatized by the rash of mass shootings in recent months. Wednesday's carnage in San Bernardino, California was the 355th mass shooting this year alone, coming almost 3 years to the day of the massacre at the Sandy Hook Elementary School. The images, they're difficult for all of us to watch and to absorb. And how do we talk to young children about such violence? Robi Ludwig joins us now. She's a clinical psychologist and an author. And Robi, thanks for coming in. Of course, our natural instinct is to shield our children from such images and such news. Is that wise?
You know, the instinct in some ways is right, because for children to see these images, it can be traumatizing, even if they are seeing it via the media. But they also live in the real world, and I think parents also need to understand that. So if we're talking about a child that's preschool, if they're not in school, certainly try to shield them from the images. That's wise. And you don't necessarily need to bring it up with a child who's not in school. But once they're in school, they may hear things, and so you want to make yourself available.
So if they come to you and they ask about something like this, how do you explain it to them? How do you deal with it?
So the job of a parent is basically to listen very carefully, to be calm, to ask them what their understanding of the events mean to them, and then to really help them put an interpretation on it. So we can certainly say this is horrible that this happened, they're scary images, but most people are good. Look at all the people that are coming around to rally and support people who are in pain. You also want to point out that not everything is happening in our backyard. So, you know, even though it may look close, it may not be close. There's a difference between possibility and probability. The reason why we're seeing it on the news is because it is somewhat rare. So you want to comfort children. Also, you can advise older kids, like teens, if they're not learning new information from social media or from the news, they can turn off a story and not listen to it 24/7. So give them permission to edit what they're listening to, which is also really important. And the key to anything scary is to be proactive. So if kids want to get involved in giving to a charity or being part of the solution, that's tremendously helpful.
I know my daughter, she tries to shield the grandchildren. One is 6 and the other is 3. The news comes on, it goes off when they're still awake.
Yeah, so I mean, parents can do that up to a certain point, but if they find their kids are coming to them with certain issues, listen. And also providing routines is very important for kids and is comforting.
Robi, I want to talk to you, because around this time of year, I know I've done the story over the years that they say the highest level of depression and suicide comes around Christmas time.
Yes.
Why?
I think in part because we have so many expectations of what this time should look like, what our families should look like, what our lives should look like. So we're comparing reality to a fantasy. It's also a time when people are more aware of the losses that they've experienced, especially in terms of family members. So I think it's this heightened expectation around a lot of stressors and realities that some people are better prepared for than others.
In particular, when you have the high degree of homelessness that we have, and we see the people in the street without any family ties.
Absolutely, the economic stress, and in this part of the country, there's seasonal affective disorder, so the change in light also people are adjusting to. And sometimes having contact with one's family can make people stressed, so there are a lot of different factors. Yeah.
But also, let's pick up the adage, you know, it's better to give than to receive.
Oh, yes.
And I know you're a big proponent of that, and you talk extensively about it.
I do. In fact, if I have patients that are depressed, I will ask them what they can give and who they can give to. Because if you're coming from a place of providing, it triggers dopamine in the brain, which is, it creates a helper's high. You feel good when you're giving. It's not only good for you, but it's good for the people that you're giving to.
Psychologically and emotionally and physically?
In any way that you can. And some people say, well, I have nothing to give. Sometimes it's as simple as a smile. Our feelings are contagious, so they spread. And you can ask yourself, what kind of light do I want to share? What kind of influence do I want to have on people? People forget their importance, and how they respond to people has a huge impact. So I think people just need to remind themselves, everybody has something to give.
Now, you have a case in point of philanthropists you know out in the West Coast, out in California.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So Shlomo is a businessman. He has dedicated half of his business to providing monies to people in need, often very discreetly. Every Saturday night, he invites people to come to his home and he gives out money to those in need. And he gives out money to every single family who had a police officer who's died. He gives monies to those family. And he was talking to Larry King and he said, you know, it feels so good to give, and it really is wonderful to be able to give to people and to know that you have something to offer.
He gives to members of the military. We have a clip
Yes.
here of seeing him with a bunch of officers. We're out in California. Let's
Yeah.
take a look at that.
I just want to say thank you from the bottom of my heart.
What did he say? Thank you from the bottom of my heart. He was thanking them when they should be thanking him.
Well, he was thanking them, and he saw them at this Irish airport and other people around them eating at these fancy restaurants, and they just were eating like something that he felt they deserved more. So he decided to make a difference. And if everybody just says, how can I make a difference? It really has a huge impact on not only you, but everyone around you.
What did he give them? I say here, $50 he gave to each of 400 U.S. soldiers.
Yes.
When their paths crossed.
Yes.
That's your final bit of advice, our psychologist friend here.
My
for the
final
holiday?
bit of advice is recognize your importance, feel as good as you can feel, and share that good feeling with as many people as you can this holiday season.
And smile.
Yep, and smile.
And have a good holiday.
Yep,
Robbie
exactly.
Ludwig, thanks so much for coming in. Always good to see you here.
Likewise.